I'm Sarah. The sound of splintering would still echoes in my ears, and the sight of my sister, Ava, being led away in handcuffs is burned into my memory. It was a moment of reckoning, a shattering of the illusion that had held our family together for so long. I had just finished my master's degree from a prestigious business school, a hard-fought achievement after years of juggling work and study. My family decided to celebrate at the Seaside Pearl, a fancy restaurant in our coastal town. My parents, Richard and Elizabeth, were there, looking every bit the successful couple. Richard, a stockbroker, wore his expensive suit, and Elizabeth, a socialite, was decked out in pearls and a designer dress. Ava, my older sister by 2 years, was the center of attention as always, with her charisma and charm. As we sat at the table, the conversation was light at first. Ava made a show of teasing me about finally finishing school, but there was an edge to her words. Well, look at you, Sarah. Finally done with school. Took you long enough. I forced a smile, used to her jabs. I had always been the peacemaker in the family, smoothing over tensions so that we could all pretend everything was okay. The topic soon turned to the lake house. Our grandfather had passed away 6 months ago, leaving a beautiful lakefront property to the family. But in a surprising move, he had named me the sole signatory for any decisions regarding its sale or transfer. Ava was eager to sell it to a developer for a large sum, but I wanted to wait. The market was volatile, and I knew how much our grandfather had loved that place. Ava became increasingly insistent. Sarah, it's just a signature. We could all use the money. Dad's investments haven't been doing well, you know. I stood my ground. I promised grandfather I'd review the terms. I'm not rushing into anything. This made Ava angry. She came around the table, put her arm around me in what looked like a hug but was more of a vice. Sign the papers or you'll regret it, she whispered in my ear. Then the moment that changed everything. The restaurant staff wheeled out a large 3-tiered cake with gold lettering that said, "Congrats, Sarah." Ava intercepted the waiter, insisting on bringing the cake to me herself. As she approached, I noticed a strange look in her eyes, a mix of excitement and malice. She stood behind me, wrapped her arm around my neck, and in an instant, slammed my face into the cake. The impact was like a thunderbolt. I felt the hard wooden dowel hidden inside the cake smash into my face. I fell backward, hitting the floor hard. The room erupted in laughter, thinking it was a prank. My parents told me not to make a scene, but I tasted blood mixed with frosting. That night was a blur of pain and humiliation. When I got home, I could barely stand. The next morning, I drove myself to the hospital. The doctor, Dr. Miller, was immediately concerned. He ordered a CT scan and X-rays. When he saw the results, his face grew serious. He asked me if I had fallen, and I instinctively lied, saying I slipped at the dinner. But he didn't buy it. He noticed the multiple healed fractures in my skull and the abnormal blood clotting levels. He suspected I was being poisoned. He called the police, much to my horror. I was terrified of what my family would think. Detective Laura Thompson arrived at the hospital. She was kind but firm. She asked me to tell her what had happened. I started to make excuses, but as she probed deeper, I began to remember all the accidents over the years. The time I slipped down the stairs when Ava was home, the car door incident when we were out together. Detective Thompson showed me the CT scan and pointed out an old fracture. I remembered a summer day when I told Ava I was thinking of moving away for a job. She tossed a heavy box at me, and I fell and hit my head. She told me not to tell her parents, saying it was just a minor bump. We also discovered that Ava had been making me vitamin smoothies for months. The doctor suspected they were laced with blood thinners. And when I checked my old medical records, I found that an appointment I had made with a neurologist after a bad fall had been canceled. The cancellation email was sent from an account I never created. It was clear that Ava had been trying to keep me sick and under her control. The detective and a forensic accountant, Mr. Harris, dug deeper. They found out that the lake house was part of a trust with a specific conservation easement. But if the primary trustee, me, was declared mentally incompetent, the power of attorney would transfer to the secondary trustee, which was Ava. She had been creating a medical dossier on me, trying to prove that I was unstable. Ava had also been stealing from my father's retirement accounts. I was a financial analyst, and I had planned to audit the family finances after graduation. She knew I would find out, so she needed to stop me. To catch her, we set a trap. My lawyer called Ava and told her that I was confused and ready to sign the power of attorney. She rushed to my parents' house for a so-called reconciliation dinner. When she arrived, she was all smiles, holding a portfolio of papers. She tried to convince me to sign, saying it was for the family's good. But I started to ask questions about the accidents and the money. Her arrogance got the better of her, and she admitted that she had hurt me to stop the audit and to get control of the lake house. Just then, the door was kicked in. Detective Thompson and 2 officers stepped in. Ava was in shock. She tried to deny everything, but we had the evidence. The video of the cake incident, the text messages with the bakery ordering the wooden dowel, and the forged guardianship papers. As she was being led away, she lashed out at our parents. "You always coddled her." I had to do this to save the family. Our parents were in shock. They finally saw the truth about Ava. I decided to press charges. I couldn't go back to pretending everything was okay. After the trial, Ava was sentenced to prison, and my father had to sell the family home to pay off the debts she had incurred. I moved to a new city, far away from the pain and the memories. I focused on my recovery, both physically and mentally. I used the settlement money to start a support group for people who had escaped toxic family situations. Looking back, that day at the restaurant was not the end of my dignity. It was the beginning of my freedom. I finally broke the silence and took back control of my life.